Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Nick Slatter, and with all the hype surrounding cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, pumping out more and more millionaires every single day, a lot of people are starting to wonder about this technology and how it can affect our day-to-day transactions, our day-to-day lives. So I'm going to talk about how it can do that, more specifically how it's going to affect the real estate transaction. So to do that, we're going to talk about a very specific function within the blockchain called a smart contract. Now, before we do that, we're going to back up and I'll briefly explain what blockchain technology is. So blockchain is a digital ledger or database of information, and it's interwoven with both the previous and the next parts of that blockchain. Information entered on here is completely immutable, which means it can't be altered in any way. Once it's there, it's there. So this stuff is also, for the most part, decentralized. So there's no government that controls it. In order to make any changes with the code, you've got to have the majority of the owner's permission to do so. So this makes it the perfect platform to facilitate a lot of changes in our society. One of those is a smart contract. It's going to change the way we do normal business transactions, specifically real estate transactions. So a smart contract is a transaction protocol saved within the blockchain. A transaction protocol basically says, in order for something to happen, certain conditions have to be met. So the example, the house example, or the real estate example would be, in order for this person to pay this person for their house, certain conditions have to be met. So before we talk about that part specifically, let's talk about the real estate transaction and some of the different parts. So there are a lot of moving pieces within the real estate transaction, but for the purposes of this video, we're just going to talk about title and escrow and lending. So if a buyer wants to make the purchase, if a buyer wants to make a purchase, most buyers typically don't, they get some sort of financing. So both the buyer and their financial institution are going to want to make sure that this buyer is getting clean and clear title. A clean and clear title means that nobody has the right to challenge this buyer's right to own that title. A clean and clear title means that the title is free of clouds or any liens or encumbrances. And the best way to make sure this happens is a title search. So a title company, what they're going to do with the title search is look through any tax liens, divorces, any old mineral rights, gas rights, things like that. In some cases, in 2021, the representative from the title company has to physically go to the county recorder's office and look through, examine some old information that's saved there. So it's minimum, it takes about 2 weeks. It can go longer depending on how long it's been since the property transferred, where it's at, but it usually takes, on average, about 2 weeks. So once we know we're getting a clean and clear title, this buyer needs to secure financing. In order to secure financing with really any federally backed loan, the buyer has to meet certain criteria or guidelines. Credit scores, debt to income ratios, down payments, things like that. And to do that, the lender has to make sure that this buyer is qualified. So to prove it, the buyer is going to spend the next probably about a month looking for bank statements, looking for IRS transcripts, just different documents to prove that they fall within these guidelines. Once they prove that they fall within these guidelines and the title's clean and clear, then the exchange can happen. So how a smart contract, this is how a smart contract can improve that. If all of the information about a property's title is saved on the blockchain, this title search that was taking 2 weeks and some manpower can now happen instantly. If a lending institution, if a consumer that was looking for a loan saved their information on the blockchain, so the blockchain stored all of their IRS information, all of their just income, the bank accounts, things like that, then rather than take a month to prove that they fall within these guidelines, they could, with the click of a button, figure out they're improved. So The transaction protocol here, the smart contract would be the contract is saying that this person wants to purchase this property and they're going to exchange this amount of money. The conditions for this exchange to happen are, it has to be a clean and clear title, and they have to fall within the guidelines. And in a typical transaction, there are more conditions than that, but just for the purposes of this video, we're going to talk about those. So once these two conditions are met, the exchange can happen. Why is it more efficient? Well, this can happen instantly. So the average home takes about 45 days to close. Most lenders can get it done in about 30 days. So this exchange can happen instantly. There are a lot of investors and stuff that need to do these transactions a little bit quicker, so it's going to be a huge benefit there. Another big advantage, you have to pay people for their time. So you have to pay for these title searches. You have to pay for the lending institution. You have to pay your mortgage officer. So if you're doing these transactions instantly on the blockchain, if you approach me and wanted to buy my house, we did it instantly, we're saving a lot of time and a lot of money there. Now, the reason we're not starting to widely adopt these is mostly consumer faith. A lot of big banks have fought back against different types of cryptocurrency, mostly because, in my opinion, they can't monetize it. They can't control it. Big governments, same thing. They're fighting back. So the consumer's faith in it is pretty low because they don't feel like it's tangible, like the dollar is, or like they believe the dollar is, like a precious metal. So the consumer's faith is low. So the more we talk about this technology, the more it's able to be used, the more people whose hands this is in, the more this is going to catch on, and change is inevitable. Progress is inevitable. At some point in the future, this is how we're going to do all of our transactions, not just real estate, but business in general. Now, somebody did point out when I was going over the notes for this video, someone did point out to me that they said, Nick, you're kind of saying that the title rep's job is going to be obsolete, the escrow agent's job is going to be obsolete, and the lender's job is going to be obsolete. What about real estate agents? Are you just not keeping that information from us? So as of right now, the biggest change I can see this making to my job as a real estate salesperson, the biggest change I can see this technology making, there is place on the blockchain for virtual real estate, virtual land that you can put on a headset and actually visit in a virtual world. At some point, that may be the way we look at houses. You may go to a real estate office and get your headset and tour houses that way. At this point in time, the technology is not quite there yet to where it feels like we're actually there. We're getting there. We've got very good virtual tours, and you can get a pretty good feeling of a house before you physically go to it. But as of right now, the technology is not there. It will be someday. Not as fast as these smart contracts, but it will definitely be there. So this is just one very small application of this blockchain technology and how it's going to change our day-to-day lives. This stuff's very powerful. There are probably a lot of applications that humans haven't even figured out yet. We're just not quite there. So hope this is helpful. I would absolutely love, I'm a huge dork. I spend a lot of time reading and researching this stuff. If you want to meet up, if you want to call me, if you want to talk shop, talk about any of this stuff, it is one of my favorite things to do. And I don't really have a lot of people to talk to this stuff about because they don't necessarily read up on it as much as I do. So I'm very, very happy to do that. Anyways, I hope this is helpful. Thanks for taking 9 minutes out of your day to watch this. Have a good day.